And here we go, Dave. The Raptor breakdown.
The Toronto Raptor breakdown.
The Toronto Dinosaurs, right?
The baby dinosaurs.
The baby dinosaurs.
The baby dinosaurs.
No longer owned by LeBron James. They are free for now. For now.
Until Boston plays them.
Yeah, for now. Obviously, Kawhi Leonard's the center of that attention as far as letting DeMar DeRozan go to the Spurs. In return, you get Kawhi Leonard.
Yeah, that's definitely.
And Danny Green.
Yes, they did get Danny Green. They traded another backup player, but they got two starters. Because to me, Danny Green is a legitimate starter too. You agree with that?
Yes, but we've never really seen him play outside of the Spurs system, have we?
Ooh, good point. Good point.
You know, he's a perfect fit in Greg Popovich's system because he's a 3-and-D guy, but we don't know how he's really going to flourish in other systems. We know Kawhi Leonard's an all-star, so it's a lot easier to assume that he's going to be good, but I don't think it's guaranteed that he's as good as or as impactful as he was in San Antonio.
That is a really good point. I never thought about that. However, it's a 3-and-D league now.
Yeah.
And Danny Green can shoot threes. He's a decent defender. He can definitely on a fast break. You have Kyle Lowry, so they have a legit point guard. I think you have I don't think you're as high on Kyle Lowry than other people.
I'm not.
Okay. Yeah. I just always thought that. I always got that from you. Like he's been an all-star 4 years in a row now. He was an all-NBA team like 2 years ago. So he's a legit point guard. Yeah, he's a legit Eastern Conference point guard.
I look at it as the Toronto's always been a good regular season team who's never been able to take that next step. I don't think he's a point guard to take that next step with this team. Like, I don't think he could be your second best player. In today's era, back then, yeah. Today's era, you can't because of these super teams and how much talent there is. You have point guards in the East like Kyrie Irving, John Wall, some like you consider Ben Simmons as a point guard.
Yeah.
I just don't see him in that tier. So when he's your second best player,
good point.
It's hard to say that he's going to take you over the hump. But, of course, Kawhi Leonard helps that.
Absolutely. Okay, you said the name. Let's kind of really jump into that. How did the Toronto Raptors make out with the biggest trade in the offseason?
Yeah.
The Kawhi Leonard, Danny Green from San Antonio coming over here to Toronto, and they traded DeMar DeRozan, who's been Mr. Raptor for 8 years, the leading point scorer in the Raptors' history, right?
Yeah.
DeMar DeRozan's now a Spur. So how do you feel this trade will, do you feel positive about it, negative about it, the same? How do you think about this trade for the Raptors?
I first had mixed feelings because my first initial reaction was, why would you give up DeMar DeRozan, an all-star, to acquire somebody who's only going to stay there for a year?
Okay.
Because I think we all believe he'll be a Los Angeles Laker. He'll end up in Los Angeles, whether it's a Clipper or Laker, but most would agree it's most likely the Lakers over the Clippers, like a 70-30, 60-40 type thing.
Agree.
So it's like you have Kawhi Leonard for a year when you could have kept DeMar DeRozan. But then I changed my mind after, of course, discussing with you and just looking at all the aspects of the trade. Okay, you had DeMar DeRozan and Kyle Lowry. That hasn't been working. I don't think that duo beats Boston. I don't think that duo beats the 76ers. So you have to mix it up and still keep your fans involved in what's going on because you every year exceed expectations for the regular season but come up short in the playoffs. So I think they did that. I think they mixed it up. They got people intrigued. People will want to watch Toronto play, and you got a better player in Kawhi Leonard. And, of course, that Paul George kind of mystique of will he stay kind of what people are thinking about. If you rent him, you may have a chance to keep him. So I think that's in their mind as well. But the most underrated part of this trade was getting rid of that contract. I think because DeMar DeRozan was going to make a lot of money. So even if Kawhi Leonard does decide to leave, you have so much room to kind of work with. Your only thing is Toronto's not really the best free agent destination. Mm-hmm. But I do like this trade because I think they have a better shot of making it out of the East, which I don't think they will, but they have a better shot than what they did before the trade.
Okay. I am 100% positive on this trade for the Raptors.
Wow.
And I have a 3-4 reason why. First, any trade, basketball, football, baseball, MMA coaches, I don't know, any trade, soccer, right? If you get the best player in the trade, I love it. I always love it. There's so many good players in the league. Even the Raptors. I was looking at their roster. Serge Ibaka. Fred VanVleet was a good backup for him. CJ Miles. Every team has players. Multiple players, right? But the Raptors, they didn't have a Kawhi Leonard. Kawhi Leonard's a top 5, top 10 player in the world. So the Raptors now have a top 5, top 10 player, and they have the shot of winning the whole East. The last 4 years, guys, look up this stat. LeBron James has been a Cav for the last 4 seasons. We all know he's moved west to the Lakers. Everyone thinks Boston's been great, Washington up and down, the Cavs with LeBron, but the team with the most wins in the East for the last 4 seasons have been the Toronto Raptors. So they have shown that the regular season, they're a great team.
Mm-hmm.
But they can't get them over the hump, like you said. And this is my 2 cents. The next 3 seasons after this year, it's a Boston-Philadelphia East. There's no questions. I even think it even starts this year, but maybe Tatum's still a little young. Kyrie might be a free agent. Gordon's coming back. Maybe there's a little something there, Boston. Guys, Joel Embiid is really young, and he's kind of injury-prone. Ben Simmons, this is his 2nd year playing basketball. Maybe, just maybe, Toronto can literally break through the hump. Kawhi, everything connects. They go to the finals. But if they don't do it this year, there's no shot in the future because Boston and Philly will absolutely run the East. You agree with that?
Yes.
So that's like we're going all in this year.
Yes.
And Kawhi is better than DeMar, and you also get a little Danny Green on the side.
Yeah, I think you and I are both kind of similar when it comes to make whatever you can with what you got and try to win as much as you can now.
Yeah.
So I do like that part of the trade.
I like that part of the trade. And now let's go more into the future. For one, if you're Toronto and if it works out, they won 59 games last year. Hopefully they win, good 50, 55 with Kawhi, and he likes it. You want Kawhi to stay. You give him the Supermax, as much money as possible. He's the 6th best player in the world. Whatever, you pay him. If Kawhi goes to L.A., like you and I both think, you start over. Because you're not winning the East with DeMar DeRozan and Kawhi and Kyle Lowry on this team and without Danny Green and all that. If Kawhi leaves, you have tons of cap. You can even 2 things. One, you can try to sign a free agent. You never know. Free agent's been wacky. No one thought DeMarcus Cousins would go to Golden State. And maybe with him being a free agent,
that's true.
Maybe you give Cousins a huge deal. Maybe he goes to Toronto. If not, if the free agents does not work out for him, you let Kyle Lowry go. You trade Serge Ibaka, who's getting old and is a veteran type. You trade him to a good team. Back to the Thunder, maybe they need that stretch 4. You start totally over. You can't beat Boston and Philly. You almost trust the process like Philly did. You become horrible. You get multiple first-round high picks for 2-3 years in a row and try to build it back through the draft.
Okay.
So that's my 2 cents.
I like it. Now here's my little hypothetical situation. Off script, how we always do it.
Mm-hmm.
Trading deadline comes. It's the Raptors have a new head coach, obviously new pieces to work with. Say it's not really clicking. It's okay. It's like you're doing good, but you're not as spectacular as you thought it would be.
What seed in the East?
Let's just say 4.
Okay, so
4 or 5.
Okay, 4 or 5. Okay.
And usually you expect this to be the 3rd, possibly 2nd.
Yeah, 1, 2, or 3.
Yeah,
Boston, Philly, and Toronto to me are the 3 best teams in the East.
Yes.
And you don't know how Philly will do in the regular season. Toronto was the 1 seed last year.
Yeah.
So if they're not 1, 2, or 3, it's a
it's like, okay.
a disappointment. It's not working.
Yeah, okay, so you're the Raptors. It's not working. And you're like, okay, the trading deadline's coming up.
Mm-hmm.
We know Kawhi is going to just leave. If it's already not working, we know he's going to leave in free agency. Let's see if we can get something for him now to help start our process in a better way. And the Lakers are like, okay, we're interested. Trading deadline, here we go. We want Kawhi Leonard.
Mm-hmm.
If you're the Raptors, do you do that? So maybe you can get a Brandon Ingram, a Josh Hart, and a pick. Get rid of Kawhi Leonard if it's not working. This way, at least you get something for him instead of him just leaving.
100% yes.
Okay, and I think that's a legit possibility
Yeah.
this year.
If they're 4 through a 7 seed and they are disappointed, or if Boston, let's just call a spade, if Boston just gels and Tatum and Hayward and Brown and Kyrie, they're all healthy, they're all back, and they're going to win 76 games, and you're like, guys, there's no one going to beat them in the East. Why lose to them in the first or second round if you're Toronto?
Mm-hmm.
Brandon Ingram, he would be a 7-time All-Star in the East if he kind of had his own team and he would just keep on developing. Josh Hart would be a great bench piece.
Yeah.
Really good bench piece. Maybe even start at the
Especially
2.
in the East.
Yeah.
He could start probably in the East.
So if that happens, yeah, you totally go for the trade. But just with that, if they're the 1, 2, or 3 seed, especially in between that Boston-Philly, no, you go for it.
You keep them.
Yeah, you keep them, and you try to win. It's the Raptors. They've never made it to the NBA Finals, ever. So you got you got Kawhi Leonard. Go for it. Like, go for the jugular. Go for the win.
How do you think the head coaching position does? Do you think that has any effect?
Yeah, definitely. When anytime there's new management in any spot, basketball team, anything, post office, anything in life, it's always different. It could be, I don't know. You know what I mean? I'm not going to try to sound like, I know exactly if they're going to be better or worse with the coaching.
You have to see.
But yeah, to see. The one thing I would think, just off the top of my head, it's kind of negative because it's the gel. Like, it's the coach knew the players. They knew them inside and out.
Chemistry.
Yeah, chemistry. So I think chemistry would be a tad off. You got 2 new players, the first and third, fourth best player on the team now, a brand new coach. Man, I don't know if it works.
Yeah, and then one thing I'll also say is this. I believe Kawhi Leonard's going to play as hard as he can to show that he's healthy and he's all about basketball.
Me too. NBA All-Star.
Yeah. There's going to be something in the back of his head, though, that knows if this year doesn't work out, I'm a Laker.
Yeah.
There has to be that.
Wow.
And I have a pretty big, bold prediction for the East. I'll have to wait for like a next mini-series, but let's just say it involves the 76ers and the Celtics.
Okay, we'll do one of those teams next. I think, because I want to do every team. Let's give every team their 10 minutes, but let's get locked in with the Raptors. You ready to get locked in? You got any other news or information that you want to talk about the Toronto Raptors?
No, all my sources I'm up to date with.
Wow, sounds good. All right, so you get locked in first. I got a good locked in, I think, for him.
All right, my locked in is the Toronto Raptors are going to struggle early, and I think we're going to see Kawhi Leonard possibly get traded to the Los Angeles Lakers.
Okay.
I really do believe so. And like you just said, maybe not necessarily because they're struggling as much of, okay, the Celtics are legit. The 76ers are legit. We know Kawhi is going to leave because we know we can't beat those 2 teams. Kawhi Leonard becomes a Laker.
Wow, that's your locked in.
That's my locked in.
That's so funny. Hey, guys, Max and I, we usually don't talk about our locked ins, and we did in this one. My locked in is the exact opposite. And I love when we do this because one of us will be 100% right and one of us will be 100% wrong. My locked in is that the Toronto Raptors will not trade Kawhi Leonard. They're all in this season. Even, sometimes the Cavs were a late seed in the East. Injuries could happen. Especially, that's what I think they will go into. The top 2 seeds we think will be Boston and Philly. Mm-hmm. They're the 2 best teams. Both those teams have injury-prone issues, Hayward and Kyrie.
Yeah.
And with Ben and Joel, right? So if you're the Toronto
That's a
Raptors,
great point.
even if you're the 6th seed and you're saying they start slow and they're not working, but just make the playoffs, make Kawhi Leonard as happy as possible. You never know if Kyrie Irving goes down with an injury and Kyle Lowry has a hot month and, Embiid gets hurt. Toronto Raptors could be the favorite to win the East. So my locked in is they're all in this year, no trade, and they will take this to the limit and go for it all.
That's a lot. We'll
all
see.
Right. Cool. Guzzo, you were A+ this episode.
You too, man.
Thanks, man.
It's an A+ podcast.
Hey, it is
5
locked
stars.
In. Download and subscribe on all podcast platforms. Say that 9 times fast.
Download and go ahead.
Spotify, iHeartRadio, Stitcher Radio. It's always that purple app on the iPhone. That's what I use. It's like iTunes, It's Apple Podcast. Give us a 5-star rating. And
if you don't have an iPhone, to all the people that love Android, I would say download the Stitcher app. But even better, just get an iPhone. I'm sick of this debate. We actually may have to move on from sports for one episode and just get an iPhone. iPhone is better than Android.
I've had an iPhone since the 90s.
I've had a Galaxy one time.
Wow.
Just to try it out.
Sorry.
Yeah. I feel sympathetic towards myself, and I wasted a year not having an iPhone.
Wow. Just like the Raptors are going to do. Hey!
Hey! Here we go.
All right, guys. Like always,
stay locked in.